right, the time is 7:37. I'll call this meeting of the Mayor and Council to order. Today is August 26, 2013. All members of the Mayor and Council are present. However, Councilman Howard is not currently in the room. Tonight, for an invocation, Councilman Sabag will lead us in tonight's invocation.
Let's bow our heads. Our Heavenly Father, we ask you tonight to be present among us as we take on another city business. We ask you, Lord, to give us the wisdom to be able to handle these situations as they come forth in front of us. Again, we thank you, Lord, for all the blessings that you have given us every day of every month or every year in our lives. We thank you for this great city that we worship in and we work in. We ask you to be with us tonight and give us again the heavenly wisdom as we worship your name. In Jesus' name, amen.
Thank you, Councilman Sabag. Now for tonight's announcements. The August 27th Planning Commission meeting has been canceled. The September 2nd is Labor Day. All city offices and the recycling center will be closed. Emergency services and garbage pickup will operate as usual. On September 6th, we'll have a blood drive in the community room from 1:30 p.m. to 6:30 p.m. To learn more about blood donation opportunities, visit www.redcross.org or call 1-800-RED-CROSS. On September 8th, you can watch the rebroadcast of this council meeting on Comcast Channel 25 at 6:30 p.m. Our next regularly scheduled council meeting will be on September 9th with a 6:30 p.m. work session and a 7:30 p.m. meeting. And the September 10th Board of Appeals meeting has been canceled. Now for the pledge to the flag. Come forward and lead us in the pledge.
Remove all unneeded head gill. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Under ceremonial matters, we have Resolution 2013-19, honoring Snellville veteran police officers. It says, whereas the Snellville Police Department is recognized as one of the state's finest city departments, whereas officers of the Snellville Police Department have on numerous occasions assisted other agencies in solving crimes and apprehending criminals, whereas police officers who are dedicated to fulfilling their duties are essential to serving the interests of the citizens and maintaining public safety, whereas experience is essential to enabling police officers to fulfill their duties efficiently, whereas the long-term dedication and sacrifice of veteran police is often not recognized, whereas the citizens of Snellville are fortunate to have dedicated police officers who have served the city for 25 years or more. Now therefore be it resolved that the Mayor and City Council of the City of Snellville do hereby honor Wayne Brown, Chris Stevens, Harold Thomas, and Charles Coates for their dedication and bravery in serving the citizens of Snellville, the city where everybody is proud to be somebody, for over 25 years. If we have the officers, you'll come forward and accept your I'm sorry, it's not a proclamation. Do I have a motion to approve the resolution?
Motion to approve the resolution.
There's a motion by Councilman Emanuel. Is there a second? Second by Councilman Howard. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed. The resolution stands approved. Thank you, gentlemen, for your service. that now brings us to our minutes. Do we have a motion to approve the minutes from the August 12, 2013 meeting?
I'd like to make a motion to delay. I think there was some things that need to be clarified. I was looking them over, and there's a lot of ambiguity, and I would like clarification before we approve them, so I make a motion that we postpone.
There is a motion to postpone to the next council meeting.
To whenever we can get the clarification we need.
So motion to postpone indefinitely. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Howard. All those in favor signify by raising your right hand. That's 6 in favor. All those opposed, 0 opposed. The minutes are postponed. We have no invited guests tonight. Under committee department reports, we have Barbara Bender from the Snellville Entrepreneur Council.
Thank you, Mayor. Good evening, Mayor and Council. My name is Barbara Bender. I'm the president of the Snellville Entrepreneur Council, and we just wanted to give you an update on the activities that we've done. It's been a while since we gave you an update back in January. In May of 2012, the city received a strategic action agenda, and it's called a Roadmap for Fostering Economic Opportunity, and it was submitted by Market Street Services. You all approved this strategic action agenda in your June meeting of that year. I just wanted to, in this update, I wanted to recall several of the initiatives that were actually listed in this action agenda and let you know what part the Snellville Entrepreneur Council is playing to implement the plan that you've all approved last year. One of the goals laid out in the action agenda is the support and development of small business and entrepreneurship. The SEC is working on this goal area in several significant ways. In Objective 2.2, which is entitled Marshal Resources and Align Bureaucratic Processes to Support Small Businesses and Entrepreneurs. Sounds like planning language to me. But there are 2 specific action items under this objective that the SEC, in partnership with the Office of Economic Development, has implemented. Action item, it was listed to create a one-stop web portal that houses all information and documentation pertinent to starting a business in Snellville. That website, the small business Snellville Toolbox, was launched last year. The SEC helped to create the checklists and the business materials included on that website, and here it is. It's the SnellvilleBusinessToolbox.com. I should know that. It is a one-stop website for new and growing businesses. This website was launched in 2012 and has been updated twice since its original launch. We've just put on a business forum that's been added to the site and is beginning to now be implemented. So this was one of the action items in your strategic action agenda. We worked with Eric Van Otteren and the city to create that toolbox for you. There was another action item under Objective 2.2 that states, utilize the SEC to build program capacity that comprehensively supports entrepreneurs and small business owners in Snellville. Through the SEC, develop expertise in programming in core areas critical to entrepreneur success. The SEC currently has several programs going on that complete this action item. We currently have going on one-on-one mentoring, which is a free resources for our businesses here in the city. We have peer advisory boards that are currently ongoing, and we've been doing quarterly entrepreneur summits, which provide an introduction to these tools, the tools that are available, and an educational opportunity as well. We've had 3 summits so far this year. We've got a 4th planned in October, and then we'll be rolling out 4 more next year. Objective 2.3 is entitled, Create a Culture of Entrepreneurship in Snellville. The action agenda recognizes the SEC's important, and this is quoting, opportunity to create a sustainable catalyst for small business development through an ambitious, comprehensive platform. The report goes on to say, because the city has limited economic development resources, yet seeks to implement best practice entrepreneur and small business development programming, the role of the SEC is particularly important. We take this charge in the report seriously and continue to act as the catalyst for small business development. We are working hard to not only provide best practice mentoring and peer advisory boards, but create a resource-rich climate and broad-based network of professionals, programs, and tools available to our entrepreneurs. 2 specific actions under this objective are currently underway. An action item was stated, market Snellville as an entrepreneur-friendly community by promoting success stories in local newsletters and city collateral materials. I believe you were all provided with the article on the front page of the strategy section of the Atlanta Business Chronicle just last month. It came out July 26th. It identified the successes of 2 entrepreneurs that have used the tools that we are now providing, the mentoring and the peer advisory boards. The article is actually a follow-up to an article that was done a year ago, which kind of launched what we are doing and trying to accomplish here in the city. So it brings positive press to the city, and it paints the very picture set out in the action item, which is to get the message out that Snellville supports entrepreneurship. Under a second action item, develop a proposal for startup incubation space to provide non-retail Snellville startups with low-cost shared space and access to resources. In coordination with the Office of Economic Development, the SEC board and several DDA members visited the Atlanta Tech Village in Buckhead. The Atlanta Tech Village is creating an open and collaborative environment for startup tech businesses. We're in very preliminary discussions with the ATV to bring some of their programming and resources to a satellite-type village here in the city. We've also identified a potential site for a business incubator, and will continue to investigate the feasibility of this venture in the near future. Our SEC board is working hard to create the needed infrastructure for our organization to more fully develop the resources and tools we currently have, as well as identify needed resources to support business into the future. We are doing this as our way of helping to support the city and the Office of Economic Development as it works to implement the action agenda. The board appreciates the opportunity to come before you to keep you up to date on our activities. We want you to know that we stand ready to carry out any initiatives assigned to us from the Mayor's Economic Development Implementation Committee. While we wait for those assignments from the Mayor, please know that we will continue to cultivate a climate that supports entrepreneurs in the city. Thank you for your time.
I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
Will you be resigning your position on that board now that you've qualified to run the office?
No,
in
ma'am,
compliance
not.
with the charter?
Not currently.
Okay, so you're not going to comply with the provision of the charter then?
Of the Snellville Entrepreneur Charter,
Of the City of Snellville Charter?
I don't believe that I fall under the requirements of the city charter at this point.
So are you saying the Snellville Entrepreneur Council is not a city organization?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
Ms. Bender, hang on 1 second, please. Mr. Powell? Can you, on such quick notice, address the mayor's concern that on Ms. Bender's part? Is there something that I'm missing here?
I could, but it'd be a guess.
Well, and my concern is Ms. Bender just described several activities that the city has funded, the toolbox, the economic summits, things that were city events through our economic development department. So if those were functions of the SEC, then it is a government agency by definition of state law. And our city charter, I believe it's section 2.19, I can't remember certain, says that members of boards have to resign upon qualifying for office.
2.19, really?
If y'all don't mind, I didn't really come prepared to deal with that issue. It's a little step back from the normal way that provision applies, and so because you're looking at a nonprofit entity that's further step back from the city than a planning commission or zoning board of appeals. So my preference would be to take a close look at that and just give you an opinion, if I could take a look at the
Yeah, no, that's fine.
And
That's,
while you're giving that opinion, then I'd like to add to that request, if it is not a city board, how it's receiving city funding for these different things.
Okay. I'll be glad to look at that too.
Well, and if I may address some of those concerns.
We've asked for an opinion from the city attorney, Ms. Bender. You've given your report, so I appreciate it.
And I will.
I'd like to hear it.
As the chair,
will-
as the chair, I recognize the speakers. You've given us your report. We're not going to debate this tonight. So thank you for your report.
Well, yes, ma'am. I will put something in the patch tomorrow that explains our relationship with the city. We are a
And-
volunteer, nonprofit organization that is supporting the Office of Economic
Ms. Bender,
Development. We are not
please.
receiving
Ms.
funding
Bender,
from the city.
please.
and public comment will be
Mr.
perfect for
Howard,
that.
you have not
Thank
been
you, Mr.
recognized
Howard.
either. Election time in Snellville, you gotta love it. We now have a report from Ms. McAloon for the stat.
I'm getting better. Good evening, Mayor and Council. Since my last report, great things continue to happen in Snellville, and STAT is very busy planning all the upcoming events in the city. Our August 17th Popcorn in the Park was postponed due to inclement weather, but will be rescheduled for another time to be announced. Since this is our free movie, we have to arrange a time that is convenient with B98.5 and their sponsors. We will post the rescheduled date on our website and Facebook once confirmed with B98.5. That brings us to our Metro Jazz concert event that was held this past Saturday night. The perfect evening. We had a tremendous crowd, great weather, awesome music, and a perfect 3D city cake built for the 90th birthday celebration by Bill Rhodes Bakery in Snellville, which rests on a beautiful base built by Councilman Howard. Thank you very much. Hats off to Bill Rhodes Bakery. They did a stellar job, and the cake was absolutely beautiful. And thank you to Councilman Howard for building the best base ever, because it is one heavy cake. Because of the weight of the cake, we were unable to bring the cake to the green as planned, but offered the citizens a chance to come over for photo ops with the cake. If you have not had a chance to see the cake, please stick around after the council meeting, and you will not only be able to see the cake, but you will be able to actually taste the cake and have a piece of it tonight. For the first time ever at one of our events, we witnessed the exchange of wedding vows of Tommy Hill and Jessica McMillan. The ceremony was officiated by Reverend Melvin Everson, former state representative and current executive director of Georgia Commission Equal Opportunity at the Governor's Office. At 8 p.m., we celebrated Snellville's 90th birthday. The Masons, the mayor and council all proceeded out of City Hall carrying the sheets of cake that were going to be served to the crowd, but not before lighting them with sparklers and singing happy birthday. It was a perfect night to be remembered. Many thanks to all the volunteers who stepped out to help set up throughout the event and clean up the event. Special thanks to our mayor and council, the Masons, Don Britt, Barbara Bender, Susan Chapelier, Alice Snipes, Brian Pendley, Marcy Ferris, Marilyn Sweeney, Kathy Emanuel, Steve Yost, Taylor Bain, Kenneth Carey, Ann Dowdle, Lee and Shirley Bartlett, Jamie Dempsey, John McAloon, and Michelle McAloon. Our volunteers are the heart of this community, and I especially want to thank everyone who stepped up in my absence in early afternoon. We also want to thank our presenting sponsor, About Face Skincare, and our other sponsors, the Gwinnett Citizen, the La Quinta Inn, Crestwood Suites, and the City of Snellville. Again, many thanks to all. Now we have a big event coming up this Saturday. Our Star Spangled Labor Day celebration will be from 3 to 9 p.m. The fireworks will be kicked off at 8:30. At 7 p.m., the Veterans Memorial will have their groundbreaking. We will start the ceremony with the Star Spangled Banner and end the ceremony with Proud to be an American. We encourage everyone to participate. In the next week or so, you may be seeing some scarecrows around town with signs on them saying, "The scarecrows are coming." We will post an application on our website for everybody to enter. How will this work? We are encouraging all the businesses, all the churches, the schools, and the residents to create a scarecrow, and we will make sure that there is a map of all the locations where the scarecrows will be on display for voting. This will just encourage the entire city to be involved in something. I saw this, I was up in Dahlonega, and it's very cool. And they do really involve their whole community in doing this. Patrons will be encouraged to visit all who enter the contest and vote on who is the best scarecrow in Snellville. We will award prizes. The scarecrows will be brought to the green during our fall festival for auction. All proceeds will benefit the Southeast Co-op. Please visit www.snellvillepride.com for more information if you'd like to be a volunteer or become a member. We hope to see everybody this Saturday with smiles on and excitement, and visit us. We've got lots of fun planned for the entire family. Any questions?
Ms. McAloon, you mentioned all of the volunteers. However, I want to tell everybody you are quite a trooper because you hurt yourself Saturday, went to the doctor, and instead of going home and commiserating in your pain, we're back out there organizing all of us. So thank you for the efforts that you put forward.
Thank you.
Yeah, and if I could, Kelly, please. Probably didn't mean to. Doug Snipes, tremendous help that day as well.
I'm so sorry. If I missed anybody, my apologies. Thank you so much, because it really is. We can't do it without any one
No,
of our volunteers.
I'm sure it wasn't intentional. I'm just, I happened,
Thank you.
he was there, and
Thank you.
he wouldn't go away. I mean, he's great.
Thank you, Doug Snipes. And we hope you're there next weekend, too.
And he does a really good job with trash.
Now for our city manager's report, Mr. Sanders.
Thank you, Mayor. I just have a couple of quick items. To let everybody know, our SPLOST auditor, Joel Black with Malden and Jenkins, came by City Hall today to review our 2005-2009 SPLOST files. Fortunately, he left with a smile on his face. Got a good report. Looks like everything has been handled very properly by our finance director and by our city clerk. I certainly appreciate that. It's something that we feel like is very important. We want to instill confidence in the public that we are using SPLOST dollars in the proper manner because we want to be successful in the future. Those are dollars that are very important to our city in maintaining and moving forward in the capital project area. So I just wanted to report on that very positive report. We also have, coming up on September the 13th, the mayor and council are going to be participating in a redevelopment tour sponsored by the Chamber, Gwinnett Chamber, and Partnership Gwinnett. They will be boarding a bus and traveling to Greenville, South Carolina for the day. Greenville is a very good poster child for success in the redevelopment area. I don't know if y'all have ever been to Greenville, South Carolina, but if you were there 25 years ago and then you were there last year, you saw unbelievable positive change for the community. A great template that I think we will be able to learn an awful lot from. We're participating as a sponsor of the Redevelopment Forum, which will come later in the year. And part of that sponsorship includes work by a group called Urban 3. Which is a land value analysis planning firm. They will come in, and for our $3,000, we probably are getting somewhere in the neighborhood of $10,000 or $12,000 worth of work out of this group. They will be looking at our town center, central business district. They'll be looking at current uses. They'll be looking at our zoning plans and our town center plan, and basically giving us some guidance on where we can be most successful, how we can be most successful, and I'm very much looking forward to their report. So I just wanted to point out those two things. And finally, I don't know if the mayor is going to mention this later or not, but Friday Saturday football season starts. And I hope everybody's a Bulldog. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sanders. We have no consent agenda tonight. Now for old business, we have a second reading.
Ask for to amend the agenda and add Oak Road Park as item G under new business.
Mayor Pro Tem Witz, you are out of order, as we discussed in the work session. That's an improper motion. Our city ordinance 2-48A, says that all agendas must be published one business day before council meetings. Subsection C of that says you may change the order of the agenda, but there's no provision of our city ordinances or charters that allow for something to be added to the agenda.
Madam Mayor, this was on the agenda. Once again, I mentioned in my public comment at the last meeting that I was bringing this forward at this meeting, and also it was on the work agenda to be carried forward to the public hearing agenda, so it has to,
was not on the
based on
public.
that.
It was not on the public agenda. That was published one day in compliance with the city ordinances, one business day before the meeting.
Okay,
The mayor
well-
has the authority, the mayor has the authority to rule on points of order or to bring them for a vote. At this point in time, I say that you are out of order, will not bring it for a vote at this point in time.
Can I ask that we get a reading from the city attorney?
Sort of a moving target a little bit. The issue in the work session was the question of the Sunshine Law and its application to the restrictions on amending your agenda. The GMA report on that says if a particular issue is not included on the posted agenda, it may be considered by the council if it is deemed necessary to address it. And they point out that the courts have not yet defined what is meant by necessary to address, and individuals often with competing political agendas may have different definitions. I think that's probably a pretty good guess on GMA's part as to what might happen in the future. The actual language of that amendment is 5014-1E1.
Mr. Powell, to keep the meeting moving, I'm going to direct your attention to the city ordinance and city charter, because that's what we're discussing, not the open records.
Right. Here's what I believe would apply in this instance. It is that the body itself controls the agenda of the meeting, because that's Robert's Rules of Order. It would be.
Mr. Powell, have you actually reviewed the city charter and ordinance where it says that the city clerk, upon the advice of the mayor, shall set the agenda, and that the agenda shall be set one business day before the meeting?
And I'm sure that's a necessity. You would normally interpret that as a necessity of an orderly meeting, that you would have an agenda. I would suggest to you that your charter has now been trumped by the Open Records Act, which really encourages you to post that a good many days before that period of time. That is, that you have an agenda, that you post it, that you tell people what's going on. The mayor's responsibility is to do that. That's not really the question before. It's how does the agenda get amended? And the agenda itself can clearly be amended by the body when it approaches, unless it's restricted otherwise. And in this case, you're looking at an item that was on the agenda of the work session, which you're put on notice. If you were at that and concerned about that issue, you would have been at the work session agenda. It would have been published well in advance. It got carried over, or suggested that it was going to carry over in the body of that meeting. And so therefore, what you're trying to do is make sure your electorate, your folks, your
Mr.
citizens.
Powell, if something appears on the work session agenda, there's no action taken on work session agenda. So how could the public been put on notice that action would be taken on this item tonight?
It would be that you came to the meeting because you were concerned, because you responded to the agenda item. It's just sort of common
Okay.
sense. If you see it on the agenda, you're concerned about it, you come to the meeting, the item gets carried over. Now, from a
But
practical.
you're not basing it on any legal authority. You're saying what your personal opinion is right now, correct?
No, this is
I get the picture. Thank you.
very common.
I get the picture. Mayor Pro Tem Witz, if you want to make a motion to amend the agenda, I'll entertain your motion if you don't want open, transparent government.
Before Mr. Powell, I have a question.
Let me do this. Let me, after that last comment, okay, I'll retract my motion to talk about Oak Grove Park tonight, okay, and to move that forward. I'll retract that, and may I ask you to contact the Attorney General's office and to get a reading from him on this, and let's put it to bed once and for all, because the mayor, when she was a council person, continually added things to agenda, saying anybody could add stuff into an agenda, and now that rule has changed. So let's, regardless of that, let's get a definite ruling so that I don't have to go, or the other members of council don't have to go through this. And if the mayor's right, then we'll never do it again. And if the mayor's wrong, she'll understand that, and then we'll get it done. We'll be able to do the things that we think we need to do. Again, no one's trying to pull any move here. We're strictly trying to talk about the Oak Grove Park and to move that forward. That's all we're trying to do. So I'll retract it, and I'm asking you if you would get us a reading on this for future amendments. Okay?
I can
Thank
do
you, sir.
that, Councilman Witz.
Yes, sir.
Here's the two parameters. I think the Attorney General's office would respond to me on the question of what is necessary to address in the new. I think they would give me an opinion about that.
Okay.
I don't think he would give me an opinion about can the council amend its agenda. I mean, that is going to be so commonplace. He is not going to he's not going to take his time expressing an opinion about that subject matter.
I'm going to keep the meeting on track, and you can make you've had a request to make the request, and so if you can submit something, it needs to be a letter. So if you can submit the council a letter before you submit it to the Attorney General's office, and if we need to clarify that, we can put it on a future agenda for future discussion. So we're moving on.
I still have a question.
Okay.
2.2-48 of the ordinance, section A, the city clerk, with the advice of the chairman and the council members, shall prepare an agenda of subjects to be acted on for each meeting. No time constraint on that portion of it. Do you see that as an implication that with the agreement of the council that it can be changed? Because it says with the advice of the chairman and the council members. Or do we defer that till a later time?
I guess my preference would be to take all of those things into account and get the council something that it can operate with easily in this area.
Thank you.
Okay. Moving on to the public hearing, second reading